की परमानंदम कृष्णं वंदे जगद्गुरुम। भगवद गीता श्लोक 33 and 34. We will chant both of them. सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्याः प्रकृतेर्ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रहः किं करिष्यति इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नवशमागच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ। श्लोक 33 and 34 are rather very meaningful, very relevant, because these two shlokas together explain a lot of things. These two shlokas explain why there are different types of human beings. Beings are different. The temperaments are different. The aptitudes are different. What causes the difference? As we have seen in Shloka 33, it is the Prakriti, the Swabhava. Swabhava is nothing but the samskara that we carry. All that we have done in the past. The past includes our past in this life as well as many past lives. It has shaped up our mind. Our past has shaped up our mind, and it is called Swabhava. The impressions that we carry from the past. And this Swabhava determines our aptitude, our inclinations. No, we don't have a say over our Swabhava. Swabhava is not in the domain of our free will. We don't have a choice over our Swabhava. because it is a result of our past. But where do we have a free will? Where do we have choice? Bhagavan discusses this in Shloka 34. Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavasthitau. There is a ragadvesha. Raga means a strong liking, strong desire, and then there is a dvesha. Dvesha means hatred. We have ragadvesha with respect to various sense objects. Indriyasya arthe, with respect to the object of every sense. We like some kind of food, some kind of taste, whereas we dislike some kind of taste. We like some smell and we dislike some smell. And even our liking and disliking varies. No two human beings will have the same taste. A mother of many children knows this very well. This mother has 4, 5 children. Then she knows which child likes what. Especially for breakfast in the morning, it is very difficult to prepare when there are many children. Somebody likes idli, somebody likes dosa, somebody likes avalakki. Avalakki means poha. So sometimes the mother has to prepare many items, because even the siblings, the children of the same mother, has a different tastes. They have different tastes. Born from the same mother's womb, same parents, yet there are differences in taste. What causes this? It is also caused by our swabhava. Our likes and dislikes are caused by the swabhava. And when we have a particular liking, we cannot change the liking itself, because it is because of our swabhava. But then comes the free will. What is the role of the free will? Whether we should act according to our likes and dislikes, or whether we should act according to the dharma. It is in our hands. We can choose to act according to our likes and dislikes, irrespective of what is dharma and what is adharma. And we can also choose to subordinate our likes and dislikes, to make our likes and dislikes subservient to dharma. Dharma means the values. What is right and what is wrong is dharma. It is definitely in our hands. Bhagavan says, do not be a slave of your likes and dislikes. Do not act according to your likes and dislikes. Instead, make your likes and dislikes subordinate to your swadharma. Therefore he says, Tayorna vashamagachet. There are ragadvesha. The ragadvesha are there, and they will express also. We cannot help them to the extent that they are expressing on a particular occasion. We have no choice. Let me give you an example. Can you have a choice over getting angry? Do you have a choice over getting angry? You don't have a choice over. Let us have a practical example. Let's do something practical now. Do what I am asking you to do. Okay? Clap 3 times. Please clap 3 times. 3 times. Clap. Yeah. Some of you clapped and some of you perhaps didn't clap because you are not on video and you know that I am not seeing. So, whatever. So, but you decided to clap. Clapping was your decision. You could do the action deliberately. You could decide when to clap. You could decide how many times you should clap. And you could also decide whether to clap or whether not to clap. Why? Because you have a say over your action of clapping. You have a say over your actions. But now I am asking you to do another thing. All of you should get angry for 30 seconds. Please get angry for 30 seconds. Did anybody get angry for 30 seconds? No, just 30 seconds. Did anybody, if anybody has got angry for 30 seconds, please tell me. I want to know. Is there anybody who can choose to get angry? No, yeah, no, I'm not just asking one. Anybody, any one person, you can send a message. Yeah, nobody has sent a message. In 30 seconds, nobody has sent a message. That means you didn't get angry for 30 seconds. So, we don't have a say over getting angry. Why? When to get angry is not under our control. Anger comes. You don't make angry. You don't do anger. Anger happens. That is swabhava. That is what Krishna has talked about in the previous sloka. Getting angry is not under our free will. It is not under our choice. Then where do we have the choice? When we get angry, how we should act, what action we should do, whether we should act impulsively or whether we should restrain our action, whether we should restrain our impulsiveness. It is in our control. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Tayorna vashamagachet. The ragadvesha will be there. It is swabhava. But do not become a slave of your ragadvesha. Do not act in accordance with your ragadvesha. Let not the ragadvesha decide your action. Instead, let your swadharma, let the dharma, the values determine your action. Tayorna vashamagachet. Do not get into the clutches of ragadvesha. Do not get carried by the ragadvesha. Because tauhyasya paripanthino, because the ragadvesha, desires and hatred, they are the paripanthino, they are the enemies. Ragadvesha are the enemies. Therefore, one should not allow the enemies to lead oneself. "35. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावहः। Yeah. So, swadharma and paradharma. Swadharma means what one is supposed to do is one's swadharma. What I am supposed to do in a given situation is my swadharma. And my swadharma is determined by various factors. And one such factor is my swabhava, my aptitude, abilities that are determined by my swabhava. It is one factor. It is not the only factor, it is one factor. Then, in addition to that, I have to see what the Shastra asks me to do. All the values, what is acceptable in terms of the values, in terms of the ethics, in terms of the injunctions of the Shastra. Even they determine my swadharma. To decide what is one's swadharma is not very easy, at least on some occasions. There might be a confusion. What is my swadharma? Swadharma is not decided by my ragadvesha. I like to do it, so it is my swadharma. It is not a deciding factor for swadharma. I like to do it, so it is my swadharma. It is not so. So most often, our likes and dislikes may not be in alignment with our swadharma. Most often it is so. And it is true in the case of Arjuna also. Arjuna does not like to fight, but the fighting happens to be his swadharma. Therefore, if we have to stick to our swadharma, we will have to sacrifice our desires. We will have to go against our likes and dislikes to a great extent. And it is true with Arjuna also. Now, to perform his swadharma, he cannot yield to his ragadvesha. If he yields to his ragadvesha, he will fail to commit to his swadharma. But why we have to do our swadharma? Bhagavan says, if you don't do your swadharma, what will you do? You will do paradharma. If I don't do my swadharma, I will be either doing paradharma or I will be doing adharma. I have only three choices: swadharma, paradharma, adharma. Adharma means it is not supposed to be done by anybody. And paradharma means it is okay for somebody else, not for me. It is my paradharma. If a grihastha says, I will not earn my food, I will not take care of the families, instead I will live like the sannyasi, then it is paradharma. For a sannyasi, it is okay not to work, not to earn money, is okay for a sannyasi. But it is not okay for a grihastha, because he has the responsibility of taking care of his family. So paradharma is as good as doing adharma, because that dharma will not give his punya. It will not give him any spiritual progress. Instead, it might be a wave towards his spiritual downfall. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Shreyan Swadharmaha. Swadharma is Shreyan, far better. And then Arjuna may say, my swadharma is not very good. You know what my swadharma is? It involves violence. It involves killing people. It is a viguna. Viguna means it is not so good in nature, does not look good, not attractive. Arjuna might complain so. Then Bhagavan says, even if it is viguna, even if it seems to be lacking in qualities, even if it does not seem to be a noble work, Swadharma is greater than Paradharma. Swanushthitat Paradharmat Shreyan. It is greater than the Paradharma, even if the Paradharma is done very properly. Even if the Paradharma is performed properly, Paradharma cannot be better than Swadharma. And Bhagavan explains further, Swadharme nidhanam sheyaha. It is better to die performing one's swadharma than giving up swadharma and taking to paradharma. Because paradharmo bhayavahaha. Paradharma is fraught with the fear. If one performs swadharma and dies, he will get punya and he will get better gati after death. Whereas if he performs paradharma and lives for 100 years, in the 100 years of his life, he is accumulating papa, and that will lead him to lower gati, lower janma hereafter. Therefore, paradharmo bhayavaha. It is not in one's interest to choose doing paradharma. That is why many people keep asking why somebody has to do some type of work, why anybody cannot do certain types of work. The answer is here. Everybody has his own swadharma. We don't have a standard practice. Why everyone cannot chant the same mantra? Many people ask. Because of the Western influence, the modern people are thinking that there has to be uniformity even as far as spiritual practices are concerned. There is a Western concept that everyone should accept the same God, everyone should accept the same belief, everyone should have the same type of practices. And many people nowadays think in this line. We should also have the same practices, same God, same belief, same book. But here we should understand the difference between the Indian spiritual heritage and the Western religions. The Indian spiritual heritage recognizes, acknowledges, and respects the diversity. People are different. There are differences in nature. Differences even in terms of their spiritual evolution. Therefore, there cannot be one size fit all. Vedanta or Bhagavad Gita is not professing a practice or a belief that is one size fit all. There are differences. And therefore, the spiritual practices also should be based on the differences. And that is Swadharma. What is right for another person may not be right for me. I should do what I am supposed to do. And how to decide one's Swadharma? It is not easy to decide, especially nowadays when people don't have proper exposure to the tradition. It becomes even more difficult. In olden days, they would look at their ancestors, as the Manusmriti says, Yenasya pitaro yataha, yena yataf pitamahaha, tena yayat satam vartma, tena gachanna dushyati. So this person looks at his father, his grandfather, the previous generations, what they did, he does the same thing. That is how, to great extent, Swadharma was determined in our culture. Therefore, when there is a doubt, when we are not able to determine what is our Swadharma, what is advisable is to consult someone who knows the Shastra, who has a good knowledge of Dharma. One should consult, and then they will be able to guide what is one's Swadharma. So, in fact, even Arjuna also is in a Dharma Sankata. What I should do, he is not clear about it. That is why he consulted Bhagavan for proper guidance. For proper guidance regarding Swadharma, we should look into the Veda, because Vedas are the primary sources of Dharma. Vedasmritis sadacharaha swasya cha priyamatmanaha etat chaturvidham prahuhu sakshat dharmasya lakshanam. The primary sources to determine our dharma are the Vedas. But then, on certain occasions, the Vedas may not be clear. I am not able to decipher the Vedas properly. Then, in such an occasion, I consult the secondary scriptures, the Smriti Grantha, like Mahabharata, etc. Manusmriti, Mahabharata, Bhagawad Gita, Ramayana. There are many Smritis. I consult the Smritis. So Smritis are the secondary pramana for Swadharma. Then sometimes the Smritis are also ambiguous. I am not able to understand what I should do in this occasion. even from the Smriti, because the Smritis were written on some other at some other point of time, and certain statements are relevant for a particular period of time. It might not be relevant today. So I am not able to determine what I should do now, even from the Smritis. Then the third way of deciphering dharma is sadacharaha. Look at a dharmika person in the society. Dharmika means someone who follows dharma, someone who follows the values prescribed by the Shastras, a knowledgeable person who is a dharmika. Look at what he does on a given situation, or ask what he does on the given situation, what he would have done in the given situation. That is dharma. Therefore, it is the third pramana to determine dharma. Veda, Smriti, and Sadachara. So that is how one can decide what is one's swadharma. So, next shloka. Arjuna uvacha अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयम् पापं चरति पूरुषः। अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः। Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna said. Arjuna is asking a question. Bhagavan has already told Arjuna that one should commit oneself to swadharma instead of following one's ragadvesha, because the ragadveshas, our likes and dislikes, take us away from our swadharma, take us away from dharma, and compel us to commit adharma. Ragadveshas are the temptations, the impulsive temptations. Take us away from the path of dharma, and we end up committing papa. So Arjuna is asking, despite knowing what is right and wrong, we are forced to do the wrong. What compels us to do the adharma, to take to adharma, despite knowing that it is wrong, despite knowing what is right. In fact, this is the major problem. Even Duryodhana had this problem because Duryodhana knew what is right and wrong. There is an oft-quoted shloka in Mahabharata. Duryodhana says, Janami dharmam na cha me pravrittihi. I know what is dharma, but I am not able to do what is right. Janami adharmam. I know what is adharma, but I cannot restrain from doing adharma. This is Duryodhana's problem. Duryodhana is a prototype of all our minds. In all our minds, there is a Duryodhana also. In fact, when we read the Itihasa, Ramayana or Mahabharata, we will find that all these characters are there in our minds also, to some extent or the other. Whether it is Ravana or Kumbhakarna, even Ravana and Kumbhakarna are there in our mind. Everybody has a Kumbhakarna. That is why we find it difficult to wake up sometimes. Tamoguna. That is why if someone doesn't wake up and sleeps too much, at that time what do we call the person? Kumbhakarna. Similarly, everyone has a Ravana in his own mind. Everyone has a Vibhishana also. So Kumbhakarna is Tamoguna, Tamas. Ravana is Rajoguna, full of Ragadvesha. And Vibhishana is Sattva. The three brothers. And we can find all the three in our mind. Sometimes we become Kumbhakarna, sometimes we become Ravana, and sometimes we become Vibhishana. So Arjuna is asking, why, despite knowing people do papa, even when they don't like in the heart of heart, they feel guilty. Despite feeling guilty, people compromise with the values. What tempts them? What forces them to compromise with the values? So, He Varshneya, Arjuna is addressing Krishna. He Varshneya. Varshneya is an adjective to Krishna. He is a descendant of Vrishni. Therefore, he is called Varshneya, one of Krishna's ancestors. Kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha. अथ केन प्रयुक्तः अयं पुरुषः पापं चरति. केन प्रयुक्तः, compelled by what force? Ayam Purushaha, this individual, any individual, Anichannapi, despite not really liking, our conscience does not allow us sometimes. The conscience tells us, don't do it, don't do it, don't tell lies. So even without listening to our conscience, disregarding our conscience, we end up doing adharma. Papam charati baladiva niyojitaha, as though forcefully employed by someone. Forced to do papa. What is it? Is there anybody standing outside holding a gun? Do papa. Somebody is standing outside and holding a gun. It is not so. Nobody is standing outside. There is no terrorist outside which forces us to do papa. All the terrorists are inside. And that is what Bhagavan is answering. Shri Bhagavanuvāca. Kama esha krodha eshaha. Rajoguna samudbhavaha. Mahashano mahapapma. Vidyenamiha vairinam. So, there is an inner terrorist. And who is that terrorist that forces us to do papa? Bhagavan is naming that terrorist. Terrorists don't have just one name. They can keep changing their name also. And they can change their appearance also. And it is true with this inner terrorist also. Kama eshaha. Sometimes this terrorist is in the form of kama, desire. Eshaha kamaha. He comes in the form of kama sometimes, desire. And sometimes he changes his form. Krodha eshaha. Eshaha krodhaha. The same person, the same thing. Kama itself becomes krodha. They are not two different things. Kama itself becomes krodha. When somebody obstructs my fulfillment of desire, Then the kama turns into krodha. Desire turns into anger, hatred. So kama eshaha, krodha eshaha. And this kama and krodha are born of rajoguna. Rajoguna samudbhavaha. It is a product of rajoguna, rajas. Mahashanaha mahapapma. Kama, which is the terrorist, it is mahashanaha. It is a great devourer. It eats a lot. It cannot be gratified easily. The desire cannot be fulfilled easily. It is like fire. Feeding the fire does not extinguish its hunger. The more you feed, it will ask for more. And it is true with the kama also. Kama is mahashanaha. It cannot be quenched. It cannot be gratified. It consumes a lot. Mahapapma, and it is a cause of great papa. All papas are caused by kama and krodha. Therefore, enam iha vairinam vidhi. Understand that this kama is the greatest vairi, enemy. Don't think kama is a friend. It can never be a friend. Sometimes enemies behave like friends. It is called Shatru Bodha. Shatru Bodha means recognizing one's enemy. Who is my enemy? We should recognize. It is true even in the spiritual sense. Just like in the level of a community or in the level of the nation, we should recognize who our enemies are. The enemy need not always be outside the border. Enemy need not always be across the border. There are many enemies inside also. It is true as far as our nation is concerned. And the same thing is true as far as an individual is concerned also. The enemy can be inside us. Enemy sitting inside our mind. It is kama. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate